Habitland Adventures, The Glowing Gecko, bedtime story for kids, by Bernard Kelvin Clive. Chapter 1. Leslie the Glowing Gecko. Every creature, big or small, has something special about them. Sometimes it might look like only a few creatures are special, but if we take our time and have a little patience, we can discover the magic in all creatures. Let's go on an adventure to the Nsuta Forest and see what magic we can find together. A tiny gecko named Leslie lived deep in the Nsuta Forest, where the leaves rustled like friends chatting with the wind. He wasn't big, not even as big as your thumb. But even though he was small, Leslie had a heart as big as Africa. Unlike his best friends Jojo and Poku, who were bright green and shone in the sunlight, Leslie had a special kind of glow. His skin wasn't green, but a sparkly silver, like a tiny knight dressed in moonlight. One sunny afternoon, Leslie and his friends were sunbathing on a big, warm rock that felt like a giant hug from the earth. Jojo, whose green scales practically sparkled, nudged Leslie with his nose. "Hey, Leslie," Jojo said in a playful voice, "don't you ever get tired of your boring skin? Mine shines like sunshine." Leslie always loved a good joke. He flicked his tail playfully and winked at Jojo. "Boring? I think it's super special," he said with a grin. "Just wait till the sun goes down and you'll see something amazing." Poku, the wise and gentle one of the group, chuckled at their playful banter. "No teasing, Jojo," he said kindly. "Every gecko in Nsuta Forest has something special. That's what makes us all a great big family." As the sun began to dip below the trees, it was time for Jojo and Poku to head to their comfy leaf homes for the night. But Leslie felt a little tingle all over. His special nighttime power was waking up. He moved quickly, using his short legs up a low branch, and watched the last glimpse of the sun say goodbye to the forest. As darkness wrapped Nsuta in a cozy blanket, Leslie gasped. Little glowing dots appeared all over his back, twinkling like tiny stars. "Wow," he whispered, amazed. He looked like he had the whole night sky right on his back. Feeling proud and adventurous, Leslie decided to be brave tonight. He would explore the deepest, darkest part of the forest, a place so secret even the bravest geckos didn't dare go often. With his little light to guide him, Leslie moved quickly down the tree and into the shadows. He was a little nervous, but his heart pounded with excitement. The forest whispered with secrets, and tonight, Leslie was going to find some of them. That night, Leslie's adventure would take him to places he never dreamed existed. He would discover that in the heart of Nsuta Forest, special things were real, and every creature, no matter how small, played a part in its incredible story. Chapter 2. The Great Storm Adventure. Something major occurred in the heart of Nsuta Forest, where days were typically sunny and full of waves of laughter. Dark clouds, thick and terrifying, piled up in the sky, making everything appear dark. The moon and stars, which were ordinarily brilliant and helpful, appeared to shy away as if they were afraid of the approaching storm. The wind yelled out loudly and shook the trees, causing the leaves to spin around chaotically. Bruno, a large brown bear with a good heart, resided in a comfortable home beneath a massive tree. As the storm approached, he rolled into his bed of soft leaves, hoping to feel better in their warm embrace. Bruno disliked storms. The loud sounds terrified him, and he felt isolated in the huge, dark forest. Then, a loud bang broke the calm night, causing Bruno to jump. Rain began to fall heavily, hitting the top of his house like several tiny drums. Bruno became more afraid with each passing instant, holding the leaves for comfort. "What was that scary sound?" he grumbled, his voice shaking. Bruno's pulse jumped when he heard another bang, this time louder and closer. He gathered the courage to look outside, only to be struck with a shocking sight. A massive tree branch had fallen, blocking the entrance to his home. He was stuck, with no way out of the storm. Bruno's panic grew into a major concern, and he cried out for helping hands. "Help, could someone help me?" His strong voice struggled to break through the loud wind and rain, hoping that someone would listen. Not far away, Santo, an ancient forest bird, was attempting to rest in his house within an old tree. The storm made it difficult for him to sleep, with the wind ruffling his feathers and the rain blurring his vision. Santo was worried about his friend Bruno, who disliked thunderstorms and lived nearby. He hoped Bruno was doing okay in the loud storm. Then Santo heard a faint voice from the breeze. That's Bruno, he thought, his heart rate racing with fear. He attempted to stare out into the storm, but the rain made it impossible to see. In his haste, Santo crashed with a branch and tumbled back, more ready than ever to assist. He knew he had to find Bruno and help him get out of his trapped home, but the black storm seemed impossible to overcome. How could he reach and help his friend? As the storm continued, Santo considered his options carefully. He knew the forest well, and even in the most difficult circumstances, the Nsuta creatures always supported one another. Santo armed himself for the storm with courage and insight, knowing that being brave and assisting others is important, especially during difficult times. That night, the forest would witness how strong its community is, as friends braved the storm to help one of their own, because no one is truly alone in Nsuta Forest, especially during the most intense storms. Chapter 3: Leslie's Shiny Light. The wind howled like a grumpy monster, and rain poured down on Nsuta Forest. Santo the ancient bird was tucked safely in his hole, but he felt scared because it was so dark outside. But then he saw a tiny, shiny light peeking through the rain. It looked like a little star had come down to help. That must be Leslie. Santo beeped happily. He knew that special glow belonged to Leslie, the little gecko who could light up the night. Hope filled Santo's feathers, and he followed the shiny light through the storm. He flapped his wings as fast as he could, following the light until he reached Bruno the bear. Bruno was stuck and making sad noises because a big branch was blocking his cave. When Santo got close, thanks to Leslie's light, he called out, "Don't worry, Bruno, I can see you." Bruno listened and said in a shaky voice, "Santo, is that you? It's so dark I can't see anything." Santo quickly explained how a big branch was blocking Bruno's cave and how Leslie's light had helped him find him. "We need to get you out," Bruno Santo blared with a brave voice. But the branch was too big for Santo to move by himself. He looked around and saw a tiny space under the branch. It was small, but maybe small enough for someone like Leslie. "Look," Bruno Santo shouted over the wind. "See that little hole? Maybe you could wiggle through." Bruno felt a little hope, even though he was very scared. The hole seemed impossible, but it was his only chance. He took a deep breath and tried to squeeze through. After a lot of pushing and pulling, he finally made it to the other side, blinking in the light after being stuck in the dark. "Phew, that was a tight squeeze," Bruno said, feeling relieved. Santo hooted happily. "All thanks to Leslie's light. You might be small, Leslie, but you were a giant hero tonight." Bruno looked at Leslie, who was glowing even brighter now. It seemed like his light was made of bravery and kindness. "Thank you," Leslie Bruno rumbled in a thankful voice. "You saved me." Leslie puffed out his chest proudly, his light shining bright. He showed everyone that even the smallest creature could be a big hero. Even though the storm raged on, they all felt their friendship grow stronger. In Nsuta Forest, it wasn't how big you were, but how big your heart was. And on this stormy night, a tiny light shone brighter than any storm. Remember, you can be that light too, no matter where you are. You are special, and you matter.